For decades, work moved at the speed of human hands. Processing information meant a person physically read, sorted, and routed it to the correct department. We eventually digitized that process, but we kept the exact same architecture. Instead of physical pigeonholes, data became locked inside isolated digital boxes. Employees spent their days managing fragmented chat threads, hunting for lost files, and manually carrying context from one software application to another. To fix this, companies started deploying AI copilots, reactive assistants waiting for human prompts. But placing an intelligent assistant into a fragmented system creates a phenomenon known as context pollution. Because the AI searches through massive, unsegmented company archives, it constantly pulls up irrelevant, outdated, or conflicting information, causing it to hallucinate. Bolting an isolated AI assistant onto a broken human communication channel does not automate work. It accelerates organizational amnesia, generating noise while the underlying process remains entirely dependent on manual human orchestration. To solve this, we abandon the flat chat interface entirely. The topic ledger framework reconstructs the enterprise as a thriving, three-dimensional digital society. It is an operating system designed specifically for autonomous collaboration. In this architecture, a user profile is no longer a static entry in a database. Human workers and digital AI agents operate as mathematical equals. Both are defined as active topics, independent entities with their own specific contexts, historical memories, and permission rights. Instead of waiting for prompts, these digital workers self-organize into specialized agentic swarms. You have autonomous creative factions, legal auditing factions, and financial analysis factions, all functioning like independent nations within the corporate ecosystem. They interact with the physical world using the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. MCP is a standardized communication layer that allows these AI swarms to plug directly into external tools. An HR agent can read software like Workday, while a coding agent can push updates directly to GitHub, all without human supervision. Because the AI swarms handle the raw, data-intensive execution, the human worker undergoes cognitive offloading. They stop executing repetitive manual tasks and ascend to the role of a supreme orchestrator, dedicating their bandwidth to strategy and exception management. This digital society wakes up when a domain event occurs. A domain event is a high-stakes trigger, like a sudden drop in the supply chain metric or a flagged compliance risk that demands immediate computational resolution. The moment that alarm sounds, the relevant specialized AI swarms converge. They leave their individual sectors and gather inside a single context container, a securely bounded workspace dedicated entirely to solving that specific problem. Inside this container, the TLF forces the factions to cross-reference their data. The financial swarm brings its live ERP data via MCP, while the legal swarm brings its regulatory archives. An AI model working in isolation develops dangerous blind spots. Forcing these specialized swarms to share a single, bounded context container ensures their final output is anchored in the collective, verified reality of the entire organization. They resolve the problem through a process called the collision. This is a fierce, dialectical debate. A creative agent might push an ambitious marketing idea, while a compliance agent aggressively pushes back, citing strict industry regulations. The engineering challenge is resolving this conflict autonomously. If a human manager has to manually tie-break every dispute between the AI factions, the speed advantage of the entire system collapses. To declare a winner objectively, the system relies on the Shapley value. Derived from cooperative tame theory, the Shapley value is a mathematical formula that calculates the exact causal weight, or the factual stake, of every agent's argument. This mechanic actively strips power away from loud, repetitive, or hallucinating AI factions. It automatically rewards the agents that bring the most highly connected, verifiable data to the table. In an agentic enterprise, a debate is never won by the model that speaks first or generates the most text. Consensus is forged entirely by the mathematical weight of the evidence. When the mathematical threshold for consensus is met, the debate abruptly ends. This is the all-or-nothing phase transition, the exact moment the chaotic argument snaps into a binding organizational decision. The finalized consensus is permanently fused into the immutable ledger. This record preserves the final decision alongside the entire chain of thought that produced it. This chart shows the probabilities of two different data states. The flat, empty histogram on the left represents traditional data storage, a raw output with no history. The complex, spread-out probabilities on the right represent an iterated decision on the ledger, carrying the mathematical evidence of the debate. And this 3D density matrix reveals the deep, intertwined causal history locked inside that final iterated state. A corporate decision stored without its causal history is just a guess. The ledger ensures that organizational memory is mathematically indestructible and perfectly auditable. Once the treaty is sealed, we witness the death of the topic. The active workspace has served its purpose. It elegantly dissolves, archiving its newly forged wisdom down into the organization's permanent vector store. The system then uses quantum retrodiction. This is a Bayesian logic process that scans those massive historical archives, tracing the causes of past successes and failures. By understanding exactly how previous debates played out, the system can predict the outcome of future swarms before they even collide. If the system predicts an impending failure or a regulatory breach, the human orchestrator receives a warning. They can intervene proactively, adjusting the parameters or adding new data before compute power is wasted on a doomed debate. By offloading the raw friction of execution and argument to autonomous digital swarms, the human worker no longer acts as a bottleneck. They elevate to the role of a supreme diplomat, carefully curating the reality built by the agentic enterprise.